I did not use PowerPoint because we are going to do interactive stuff.
Cool.
And do you want to stay back there, or do you want to come
We'll
up
come back to you.
here?
We can indulge you.
Yeah.
Like I'll slide in
Yep.
So I'm Ann Bauer. I've been teaching here a long time. I teach all levels of science, from freshmen that have just arrived out of high school to seniors that are going off and doing research someplace. I have taught majors and non-majors, so people that are going to be scientists and doctors and biologists and fashion designers and graphic designers, etc. The whole gamut, right? So let's take a minute just so I get an idea of, I know some of my audience, just say your name and sort of your discipline or whatever, and then what are you looking for? So I get an idea of what you're looking for as I go through the options, and then I can direct more.
I'm Sarah Mosley. I'm an adjunct in the School of Design Engineering, and I teach survey textile. And I've been here for 4 years.
Good. And with the topic of metacognition, was there? You just want an overview, or are you looking for specific strategies?
Both.
Okay.
Because my challenge has become more specific this semester in engaging my students. It's the smallest class I have ever had. We have 28 to 30 students,
Yeah.
and I have 11.
Oh yeah.
And they are the least engaged, and I just need to find out what I need to do to bring them in.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Sam Weeks. I teach in the Hallmarks program as part of the College of Humanities and Sciences. And I'm here for really two reasons. One would be to start thinking more explicitly about my teaching, and the second reason would be become a more effective teacher.
And look for strategies.
Right.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
I'm Barry Burton. It's my third year as a visiting assistant professor in the Disaster Medicine and Management Master's degree program. I liked your discussion on it before. I've tried to apply it, and I teach several of the DMM Master's courses which is exclusively online, and then we have a cohort of international students that's on campus. And I'm trying to get the depth and not necessarily getting the depth that I'm trying to get out of them. The gapped professionals, shall I say, those that went through the bachelor's, went to the workforce, and then came back in are doing quite well. The straight track students with no experience are blowing it off and not necessarily seeing the advantage. I'm trying to figure out how to motivate them.
Yeah, they don't see the real world application. Yeah.
I'm Kelly Pagnotta. I'm the clinical education coordinator for our Master of Athletic Training degree.
Okay.
And so part of the thing I was trying to get from this is I oversee their clinical placements. Currently our second year students, soon to be all of our students are going to be doing 8-week full immersive clinical experiences. So we interact with them via Blackboard, but they're 100% with their preceptors. And so one of the things that I'm trying to implement more of is the reflective learning of applying what they're seeing in their clinical setting when they're not interacting in a classroom, and still trying to make sure that their clinical work is learning experiences and having them realize that it's learning experiences as opposed to I just go there to work.
Right.
And so
Right.
tie in
The reflection.
Yeah, that reflection aspect.
And the building.
Yeah.
So for you in particular, if you get a chance to look at the model that the internship office here is set up, it would be worth your while.
Perfect.
Because they have set it up for people to do internships anywhere.
Yeah,
And all the reflections on Blackboard, they have it all set up. In fact, have them just send you the Blackboard internship template.
perfect. There we go.
And then you can pick and choose.
Perfect.
Because it's set up for across the board undergraduate majors, including business. And the book, you don't want the book.
Okay. You don't want the book.
I
Got
can
it.
tell you that right now.
Okay.
You don't want the book. The book is, you don't want the book. Not for the people you have.
Okay.
You could have them show you what it is that they're using, and then see if there's a clinical, the right level that does anything close to that.
Okay.
But you don't.
Okay.
All right. But the template would be awesome. You could easily modify the templates all set up
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
in Blackboard
Perfect.
with the grading rubrics and everything.
Even better. don't need to
Check the
reinvent the
box.
wheel. Yeah,
No,
like, it's the
you're gonna want to you're gonna want to
Yeah.
Some tuning, but
You're gonna
yes.
wanna
but tuning
modify
is
it, move it
way
up.
different than,
Yes, absolutely.
than yeah.
You're gonna want to modify and move it up. But
Perfect.
that would be my recommendation. All right, and say who you are, but everyone knows.
And our
Jeff Ashley. Hi, everyone. I'm
Yes.
here to gain hints like you just got right there.
Yeah.
Because Anne's going to give
Where
lots
to
of
go.
them. Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Yep.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. On the piece of paper in front of you, I have a short synopsis of metacognition. And basically what we're looking at here is a skill set all of us have, and that everybody who works in any profession must have. But students have trouble gaining it, and they certainly have trouble gaining the skill set and applying it to their own learning and their own set of what's going on. And so the more that we can structure our classes and show them that these are the same skills that you have to use in life and to succeed, and that they're building their ability to do that, you get more buy-in. You'll get more buy-in if you use that frame for it, as opposed to, oh, you're gonna get a higher grade, or you're gonna, your brain cells are gonna connect better and all the rest of it. I find that the other cell works better for most students across the board. That this is real world. This is what people really do. And then when you do that, you will, as we go through this, you're gonna be able to use examples at different points, if you're comfortable with that, from your own life. You could say, now when I'm juggling da, right, then I use a planner every day. I look at a calendar every day. I have goals that I set over this period of time, over a week. I have a checklist that I use. I do da. You can then insert little tidbits of your own if you're comfortable doing that when you teach. Everybody's different on that. Some people know, here's me and who I am as a person, and there's me as a teacher. Everybody's different on that. I insert a lot of stuff, and then I'm a mom, and I have a 17-year-old, so they get a little bit of mom stuff. I'm gonna
teaches
just,
a hard time.
they get a little bit of parent sort of stuff, like, yeah, okay, let's look at this. Here's here's the higher level adult thinking. How are you gonna? Because I've got 95 freshmen right now. So that's my world that I'm in at the moment, this particular semester. That's not usually I have this huge span. So let's look. So metacognition really is planning. It's the ability to reflect on what's going on and then say, this is working or it's not, and then make a plan to go in a different direction or to keep going in a direction. But you have to be able to reflect first and assess, and then create a menu of options, then try them, see if they're working, fail, which we've all done, or succeed, recognize that we're failing or succeeding, and then iterate. So that's what metacognition really is. In the context of what we're doing, all of us do this all the time. Constant, right? So then there's a couple of studies, and there's a couple of tools. So what I did is I made a list for you guys of a bunch of tools here. All of these, that list right there where it says potential strategies are all little tools. So I thought what we would do is we would go through some of the tools, and then I'm going to show you a context of how I use them. Because a tool by itself doesn't help unless you kind of get an example of how it's used, and then you're going to say, oh, this part of it will work for what my audience is, and this part, yeah, this not. Right? How's that? Does that make sense? All right, cool. So the first one that I do is, so again, I didn't make a million copies, but I have all this online somewhere, so I'll just pull it up. So the course that we're looking at here is freshman biology. It's for science majors. They're 17, 18 years old. I actually have a 16-year-old that are here, and there's the syllabus. And the first day of class, I do an introduction. I have them talk to each other. They're sitting in a room like this with tables of 4. And I tell them the story right away that a couple years ago, in March, because I have these students usually the entire year. They have a choice to go to somebody else halfway through, and a lot of them stay. So then I have them for a whole year. And in March, these are students that met each other and worked at a table of 4 since August. And I realized in March they didn't know each other's name. I'm like, how? I don't know all 95 names, but you guys are at a table of 4. You've been talking to each other since August and working together in small groups, and and there's a window of opportunity in our culture to know somebody's name, and after that, you don't ask. So I have really pushed that, and now they all know each other's names because I realized I had to push it to have the support system right there. So the first day of class, I do this thing called the syllabus scavenger hunt, because we all have syllabi, and my syllabi over the years have gotten longer and longer and longer. And it tries to communicate information.
Ask you later.
Didn't like that.
Okay, good. I don't want any of that. No, I don't want it. Okay, here we go. All right, so my syllabus is probably 20 pages now with all the different things that are in it, right? And so what I want to do on that first day is I want to differentiate what's different about my class and how it runs and how you're going to work together and how you're going to start planning and doing this metacognition thing and how it's inserted in there with everything else on the first day. So I have these 20 questions, and they are all the nuts and bolts, because you can't plan if you don't have the nuts and bolts. You can't plan if you don't know the dates and what the goals are, what the learning objectives are, what the range of assignments are, all that kind of stuff. So the syllabus scavenger hunt makes them go, what an office hours is, where is it, what's the time, all that kind of stuff. And that's all in the syllabus, but what do most students do with the syllabus, even graduate students?
Ignore.
They ignore it.
What do I have to do to get a grade? That's about the only section they look at. They don't even look at what the criteria is to continue.
Right,
And they don't look at any of the hints.
right.
Mine
So
don't even look at what they need to get a grade
There you go.
right.
until like final. Then you're like, well, why did I get
3
this?
days before.
I'm like, well, because.
Did you look at the contract?
Yeah, did you?
It's a contract.
Yes.
So I do a syllabus scatter. It takes the entire first class, and they go through in small groups, and I go around then and talk to small groups of people, and we go through all of these things, and they've got to find them. Which means, number one, they've got to get onto Blackboard. I have to see that they can get on Blackboard. They have to get onto our online homework program. I can see whether they've all gotten on there. Do you know how many emails that saves me? 95 times whatever, right? So I can easily walk around a room of 24, and I could do this online too. I don't have to be in a classroom. You could do the same thing. And I can see that they have the basics set up, the book that they need for the first class. Do they have it with them? You tell them you have to bring it. I tell them they have to bring the textbook with. And they're in a room, they got to pull out the textbook to show me they got it. Because in undergraduate, we have a lot of students that never buy the book.
Right.
Will you succeed in your metacognition and all your planning if you never bought the book and you never read it?
No.
We know that, but they have succeeded somewhere in life without buying the book and without reading it. That worked as a strategy somewhere along the way.
Graduate
Without
students.
doing any of the
Somebody gave them
activities.
notes and then gave them their slide presentations, and they memorized that.
Yeah.
Pass it down.
Yeah, and they can share the book, I could care less. But they have to have a copy accessible to them, and they have to bring it on the first day of class.
Does your syllabus, you say it's 20 pages, does that include essentially your lesson plan, major assignments and dates?
Right, and then Blackboard has a lot more detail.
Right.
All the major assignments or dates are in the syllabus, but the Blackboard has all the
So we
has
do
all
a
the other
syllabus
stuff.
as policy and expectations with major dates, and then we have an organizer that's basically a week-by-week reduced lesson plan, so
Right.
that they can read ahead, kind of deal on the Blackboard reinforcing
Right.
that.
So then the next thing I do with them after we do the syllabus, so the kind of I'm going to just scroll down, and here's a copy. So if this is hard to read, you can look at it that. So this is a tool that would fall under metacognition. Starting the first day of class is to what are the pieces involved in this class? Let's get them on the table. Let's start organizing them, which is what metacognition is let's see what it is. Let's start organizing it. All right. So. What's key for freshmen? How many hours are expected to study? right? In college, it's 3 to 1. In high school, the average high school student studies
Yeah, yeah.
6 hours a week, period, for all classes.
Yeah.
All right? I need them to do 3 hours per class. That's 9 hours a week is what I need at a minimum in my class. You see the difference. The average high school student coming in has an A or a B. So they have tremendous confidence, no study skills, and no understanding that they don't, there's the reflection, no understanding that they don't have the right skills to be able to reach what they think they can do.
I think that's across the board.
I think it's across the board.
I keep getting the comment when a grade is low, they don't understand.
It's actually in the book that I'm reading currently, which is what you did 2 terms ago with Ambrose about the inflated self-position because they've never been challenged to do anything critical. And the role changes as you move through from simple regurgitation to critical thinking, analysis, and synthesis.
So for this class, for example, if you're gonna do you're gonna do real planning and organize yourself and study, there's a cumulative final. It's over 25 chapters. It's in December, that information's on the syllabus starting August 24th. So if you're really gonna be able to use metacognition, well, any of us would have immediately seen that and said, what am I gonna do set up for this thing, right? So we need to be able to reflect with them and walk them through that process of this is what it's gonna take. And they're gonna need a lot of feedback along the way. At any level, I've found with students, they need a lot of feedback along the way. So day 1, I start with this, as this is a strategy. It's one, then the other thing they're doing also the very first week is they're doing these 2 things. And you guys can take them if you want. The VARC is a questionnaire. It's 13 questions. It's been validated. It's in 50 languages. Is it very, very simple? Yes. Is all it's going to do is give them an idea of study strategies related to people that by and large prefer hands-on, kinesthetic, versus by and large as a strength prefer reading and writing, or by and large somebody that really wants to listen and orally talk it through, etc. They're taking 20 adult learning styles and boiling it down to 4. But what they have after you've done it is then a list of here are all the different study strategies you could use to go to your strength. And that's all this is doing. There is so much controversy in the literature about learning styles. I don't care. They can have all the controversy they want. This works as a tool to get students to try to think about that they need a different strategy than they've ever used before. In my class, to reach their long-term career goal, they want to be an occupational therapist, they want to be a doctor, they want to be an athletic trainer, they take my class, right? Mm-hmm. That's what they want to do. Good. Do they have any idea what that is? Probably not, but that's okay. That's okay. We're going to work on that and start unrolling the pieces of that, of what the foundation is. So this is something I make them take that first week of class as well, and then they have to talk in their small group of who's got the strategies, and then in the room, I have them rearranged by the strategies. So they can see where all the kinesthetic people are, and where all the da-da-da, and then in my syllabus, I'm very clear of identifying, this thing that we're doing now is hands-on. The people that were kinesthetic, because I have a language with them. The kinesthetic learners, this is your strength, let's see you really participate here. The oral people, now we're going to do this. Let's see you guys, that's your strength. Let's see you guys really step up and take leadership. So I can switch the leadership around on participation 4 different ways and keep flopping it around and get people I'm sitting there in the corner, I'm not going to say anything, to step up. And then I wait. I'll wait as long as it takes. I'm done talking. You're doing now, let's do it. Right? And that silence is important. And the problem with us, we fill it in.
We feel so pressured we don't have enough time, so we intend.
Right, so we fill it in. And there's a value to waiting. And then there's also a value to the people there are people that are introverts. My son's one of them. That small group work, oh my God, he hates it. And to raise his hand in a big group, not really. But he's got lots of value, and so do all the introverts that we have. And so having ways for them on 2-to-2 or individually to participate and do their own planning also is important. So this one I use at the first, and the other one I use, both of these the same first week of school.
Do they do that in classroom or? at
They
home?
do it, I'm gonna show you how I do it. It's on a discussion board. So then I use this one too. What kind of student are you? And this one's really easy, you just check off, and then at the end, it goes through. This is probably from K through 12, I don't care. I use stuff from anywhere, it doesn't matter to me. If it works, use it. And it makes them think about what they do and what they don't do, right? Well, the sound is still on. What they do and what they don't do.
I give them something like that the first day, and once their grades drop, I give it back to them. And because they're supposed to identify, is it mostly true, sometimes true. And
Now be honest,
based
after
on,
you say
well, based on how they answer it, if it's 10 points, you'll get an A at the end of the class, 8 points, or 7 points, you'll get a C at the end of the class, blah, blah, blah. And when they're doing poorly, I give that sheet back to them and say, this is what you told me on the first day. You'll need to go back. Do you want to readdress it, or do you want to follow through the way you thought you were going to participate? Dr. Howard gave me that sheet. She does that in her classes, and found that it was a great change in response. And it really shows them, oh, okay, yeah, that's what I said. I'm not reading every night, or I'm not reviewing my notes up over the weekend. And most of them turn around, not all of them, but it helps.
So this one's a simpler one.
Seth McGuire.
This is the student version of McGuire.
How you like
There's
that?
a student version of
I saw
McGuire.
this just
Everybody's
published.
got to make a book now. So she's got her first book, and now this is the student version. For us, the first one is fine. For students, the Todd's the Graybeck book is the one I use, which I don't know where it is. I looked for it at home and in the office coming in. I don't know what I gave it to somebody, but you'll see it on Blackboard. I've divided up that book, and I have a discussion board on Blackboard for each chapter of that book on how the neuroscience of the brain, and to make them go and think about and talk about and share on Blackboard that.
Do you
What I like
give
about
that
this one is it makes you then add up those different behaviors, and then does that equate to an
Yes.
A, B, C, or D in the class?
That may have been where she
Right.
got that.
It could be. So that's another one
Yes,
that does
yes,
similar
this
to
is
this. That you could take any of the three of these and modify them at the right level and do it. Then the other thing I put in my syllabus right up the get-go, to make it even more clear, and I make them find this in the syllabus. In the syllabus itself. And this, when they do the scavenger hunt, they find this information. I make them find key information because in my class they have to get a C- in order to move on, right? So. So I have right here, these are the behaviors that I see with people that tend to get an A. These are the behaviors I see B, C, D, F. And I make this really transparent. What are the differences between these? What are the behaviors? How do people act? What is excellence? How is it defined? So it's very transparent, again, day one. And I make sure that they find the behaviors between a B and a C because they have to get a minimum of C- to move on so they can start looking at the behaviors. What am I doing? That reflection piece, right from day one. Okay? And all the metacognitive stuff is you've got to build those reflection skills so that it's not criticizing and it's not feeling shame or bad. It's just saying, this doesn't work or this is working. Okay? Does this help?
I want a copy.
All right, so, and I got this from somewhere. I have it, I'm sure I have a reference.
That's the scavenger hunt, guys.
I don't know, I have
I've tried explaining it to them orally, but
No,
I like
I
the
have
fact
it in
that it's
writing,
written.
and then I make them find it in the syllabus scavenger hunt. I make the group of four talk about the fact that they have to have a C- to move on, not as a scary thing, but what are the behaviors that lead me to get above that? What are some of the things I might want to think about doing? that want to think about doing, right from day one. So there's, again, all transparent, no surprises, but I make them work with it, actively work with it. Okay, so we've gone through then the scavenger hunt, the learning strategy inventory, the VARC, and the education planner. Then I forgot to bring it over here. Do you guys remember the old-fashioned planner that had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 8 a.m., 9 a.m., da-da-da-da-da, on a piece of paper? We used to hand them out here. They're yellow. They still say textile. There's a whole pile of them left over. I hand that out. Oh yeah, there's piles of them around here.
Like this.
Yeah, they're just a piece of paper. They're a half a piece of paper. All they do is have the days of the week and the hours of the day, and they have a little grid on there. You could create this, but there's a bunch left over. I'm still working through the text. They say textiles on the top. It's fine. I don't care. Might as well use them. I hand that out the first day too, and I say, here, there's your week. Everybody check off where you're taken. What time is already taken? You don't have to say what it's for. Just cross it off. If you have a job, if you have a family obligation, if you have classes, you're going to cross it off. And then, as a group, we're going to look at those other spots, the ones that aren't, that are open. And we're going to, because the neuroscience of the brain shows in order to build a neuron, that's permanent memory. To build this neuron of permanent memory, you have to tell the brain it's important. And if you don't tell the brain it's important, every night when you sleep, it's gone. It's gone. Do you know how many times I do this? You can tell I do this a lot. So how do we do that then? How do we tell the brain this material is important? On that planner, you have to identify a spot daily, every single day, that you're going to work with this material, because that's how you're going to tell your brain that this material is important. And then that gets away from cramming. It gets away from that last minute 3 o'clock in the morning project, right? It starts getting people to working and spreading stuff out over time. But I actually physically have them do it, active learning. So every student has one of these that they've identified the time. Now, the time could be 7 o'clock at night, right? 5 days a week for an hour. That's what they start. They'll identify something. Now, do they do it? It depends, right? We see as we go along if they're actually doing it or not. But then there's a cohort effect. Then people are saying, well, did you, and did you, and did you? And then for biology, we've got tutors available over in the accessibility 4 days a week. And I get a list of who went. And I can turn around in class and say, well, today there was only 5 people at the tutor. I don't know what other obligations you guys have, but that was an opportunity. And I can keep pushing it. Okay, so how are we doing so far? Are you guys getting other ideas, or is this too simple because it's Bio 1?
No, it's the same. It's very
You
good.
can just move up the level. All right.
This term I made them make a calendar with all their courses through the entire term, so they would know to be able to program lead time in for their major projects.
Right. So the other thing I do, I have the homework due dates for the entire semester. And I make them take out their cell phone, and I make them put reminders in for the whole semester. This device is, I'm doing this. This device is educational beauty. It could be, as opposed to distraction, if you use it. In class, when I write stuff on the board, I say, take out your cell phone, take a picture of that. And then I say, now, let's put all those away, and we can't leave them out like this. We cannot, because if this stays out like this, it lowered his grade. We have data on that right now, that if this stays out sitting like this, it's lowering the next person's grade. So everybody in my class takes this thing and puts it like that away. So, and it's because they're lowering the person next to their grade. I don't care about that. That peer pressure matters more than trying to talk to them about their own distraction. And that new data, we just heard it at that conference. When was that? At Villanova, whenever that was, to change.
When we switch to Canvas, which they just said that we're going to, when you can
Canvas is beautiful.
when you put all of the assignments into Canvas, even if you haven't actually created the assignment, you put a placeholder in with all the dates, and it creates a color-coded calendar for the students that actually syncs into iCal, Google Calendar, all of these things, so it puts it right in there smartphone and their computer, their laptops, the whole thing, color-coded right in there
And
for
as a
their,
check thing, right?
and a check thing next to it that they've
Yep.
completed it,
Canvas
and
is
they
really
hand it in
organized that will
person,
help
it's
with
due
that.
online, so even if they hand things in hard copy in person, an in-class assignment, whatever, it still pops up on their calendar.
And it shows if they've completed it or not. There's a little check mark.
There's a check
that's
mark
green
next
that
to it. Like,
appears
it's really
once
cool.
you graded it or once they've submitted it. Yeah.
Nice having.
So that organizational piece, once we get to Canvas, will
And
make a big difference.
Puts their all of their courses all together. So as long as you can get everybody's using Canvas, then everything's all in one place
Yeah.
for them, and they can see their calendars, and it syncs to the actual
All
calendars
the
that
other
they
stuff.
use.
Yeah. So that'll help with this the organizational planning.
I
Now,
think
they
it's.
still have to do it.
I was gonna say they still have to do it, and it takes a little bit of their work out of it, so it doesn't always force them to look ahead because it's already there. So then you still have to come up with another activity to get them to actually look at the calendar sometime in November when they get it in August, and they're like, well, it's already in there. I'll worry about September when September comes, and then
Right. So you still have to do the long range.
yeah,
But the short range reminders is done.
it's done. Yeah, which is
it's
nice.
It's all just.
Just move the
thing.
mouse or pad and it should come back.
It's here. It's here, but is it there?
It's coming. It's coming.
All right, good. So those ideas, what do we think of those ideas? I could make this active learning and make you guys talk to each other. Do we need to do that, or are we good? We're good. All right, I'm just gonna keep going.
Reinforcing and illuminating.
I like how you have 753.75.
You know why?
No, I don't know why.
This is mastering biology.
Uh,
This 0.75, I'm like, why did I have that? It's because of mastering biology, the homework program. What I did with homework, I went low stakes. So on homework, what I did, I love this. They don't figure this out for a long time, which is fine. So homework,
don't tell me the homework is only worth 0.75.
0.25
0.25?
for each question. They have
Oh, for
50
each question.
questions
Yeah.
every night, 0.25. 0.25. Okay? Lots of stuff. Get into it. Worth almost nothing. But it'll make a difference as a cusp. When you're a cusp grade, and what's the purpose of homework? Is practice. Do we want them to practice? How long do I want them to practice? I want them to at least get into the book and do something for at least a half an hour. And the computer will tell me how long it should take them to do the thing. And I can see how long it takes them to do it as well.
Your assignments are all in Blackboard?
They're all in a homework program. There's a separate program that's called Mastery Biology. All right, so then I have also online tests. Cheat away, have at it, I could care less, they're open book. How many points are they worth? Nothing. Does it force them to sit and pull out all the material and look at that at interim points along the way well before the exam?
Are those tests timed, or do they?
They have 60 minutes.
For how
The
many?
computer says it'll take them 30.
Okay, how many questions?
50.
50 questions. 60
Yeah.
minutes. 50 questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like they can sit there for 4 hours and
No.
look up every single
But they
question,
can
but
cheat
they
all
can-
they want.
oh, yeah.
I could care less.
Okay.
Because it's still gonna force them, the material's right here, and it's gonna force them. And I say, here's what you do. Take everything, here's your notes, here's the textbook, here's 2 or 3 other devices. Surround yourself. But it's gonna make them do the next level of metacognition, which is to organize. And that's what we need. We don't want verbatim, right? We want them to think, analyze, categorize, organize. I had one student though that watch out for people that color code, because sometimes they spend all their time color coding and they
They
haven't
still
learned
haven't done
anything
anything with it.
at all. I looked at it, I'm like, I've never seen such color coding before. And you have an F in this class. So that didn't serve you. It didn't serve you to do all that color coding because you were
But you're
too busy
probably-
doing the coloring and not the whatever. So, I mean, I have that built in. And then where
That's a
is
fancy.
the analysis? The analysis is, there we go. Where's the meat? Where's the meat? Compared. Is this making you do everything you should be doing to be able to get here? Have I scaffolded this thing with a lot of layers all the way along? But there's the meat, right? And yeah, there's the meat that's going to make things go as we go along. Yeah. Okay. So that is Then the next level, so the organizational strategies, the speaker that was here, I don't know when Tom was here, 2 years ago, 3, whatever he was here in the fall. There was a speaker that's written a book, which I can't find, but whatever. It's in Blackboard. I took what I needed out of it, and I did ask his permission because I did scan one page of each chapter in Blackboard. So what I did with that to scaffold is what I did with that is each chapter is a different part of learning, right? So there's a chapter on mindsets, which is Dweck. It's this theory of mindsets, which is this thing right here. So Dweck looked at students. There are students that this is the survey instrument that Dweck used to come up with mindsets. What mindsets are is there are students that have people that have a growth mindset, that they hit a roadblock and they say, I can do it, I'll figure it out. And there are people that hit a roadblock and they say, I'm bad at math. I'm done, that's it. Then there's no problem, nothing happens after that. I'm terrible at writing. I can't do those kind of problems because they've had experiences along the way. Either somebody told them they're bad at it, or they've had some bumps along the way, right? There's a lot of feedback they've gotten before they get to us. So this is the survey instrument that this psychologist used, right? To come up with whether you're a growth or a fixed mindset. And we can then work with the growth mindset and say, let's talk, tell everybody all your different problem solving strategies that you're using, and then you can get that feeding back into the classroom. And then you can work with the people that are the fixed mindsets and say, what are some other ways? Here's the educational theory. If you stay with a fixed mindset, it won't serve you well in life. So let's see ways of reflecting, that's what I have, and saying, how am I going to go around it? Make it really transparent. So that's what Dweck is. Dweck, you're going to see it everywhere. Mindset, she's the one, and then everybody cites her. But in Zagrebek's book, it's really skinny.
Zagrechek?
Yeah,
right?
him.
Yep. It's the new science of.
The new science of learning.
Yep.
It's thinner than that. It's really skinny. It's a really, there you go, there's a picture. There's a picture. It's the
That's on the
thinnest
shelf,
book
too.
you've ever seen in your life. It's written for students. It has 8 chapters. The chapters are about 6 pages long. At the end of the chapter, there's a 1-page bullet summary. So I scanned the 1-page, I got his permission. I scanned the 1-page bullet summary, and then I have a discussion board. I must be pulling up the wrong class. This is the wrong class, but whatever. I have a discussion board, it's the same. I have a discussion board that goes through each of those chapters, and I have them talk about what are they getting at, what strategy are they using. So we know people that exercise actually get blood flow to their brain, and their cognitive development is better. We know that. It's a given. Good. Do students exercise? No. Do they need to exercise every day? Yes. So what are strategies other than the gym? I'm going to put over there. That's what America does. And they all go in January and then they stop. So what is exercise? And in the class then we talk. Is it running up and down the stairs? Is it dancing in your dorm room? Whatever it is. So we go through each of these chapters on Friday. It's on the discussion board all week. All they have to do is put 3 things that they've tried. And they could lie, I don't care. Because I don't grade it. It's not worth any points at all. And then on Friday, we take 10 minutes of class only. And we do everybody talking about the strategies, and then we put all the strategies on the board. So there's peer pressure. If you hadn't really done anything at all, you can't put anything on the board. And really quickly, the peer pressure works. I don't grade this, it's not worth any points.
And they still participate in it?
Huh?
And they still participate
yeah.
in it?
Yep. This is, I don't know what version it is. So let me see what class would actually be.
Is class participation part of your grading?
No.
My
Attendance required.
internationals are so
Attendance
grade
is
oriented.
required. You have to
Ours are
attend my
if
class,
it's not
and you have to
points.
attend my class every day.
And something's got to
And
give.
if you don't, I finally figured out a
And
strategy
yeah.
after 20 years of teaching a course.
Points are low.
And that is you get 3. You get 3 classes that you can miss for any reason whatsoever. I don't need to know the reason. You just need to email me professionally and say that you're not coming to class. I don't need the reason. I have a column that Shared Place helped me create this. I have a column in Blackboard called Attend. And when they email me, I simply put 1 out of 3. And then in the little notes, I put the date and what they said. Once they get past 3, their cumulative letter grade goes down 1 for the entire semester. There we go. And it's right there. We can see it. It's easy to keep track of. It's right there. Because do we want them to go to work every day? Do we want the behaviors happening now? Do I want my surgeon not to show up for work?
It's the developing professional behaviors.
Yeah. And
Expectations.
this is, the attendance of class starts that. You are in my class. And this is, and I explained, it's a professional behavior. You are here. You are participating. It is part of the deal. And you do whatever motivation you need to get there, but that's how it's going to work. And you get 2 lates because life happens. There's traffic jams all the time. You get 2 of those. And then after 2, and those get recorded in that same attendance column. For 95 people, I have no trouble keeping track of this at all. It's really easy. And then it's all recorded there, and there's no argument, right? After 2 lates, letter grade goes down. There we go. So you go from, oh, look at that. You go from an A to A minus, an A minus to a B plus, B plus. I've had somebody, right? But they weren't doing anything else either. So, and that's the student I try right at the beginning to get them to withdraw. It's the wrong time. You need a fresh start. Something's going on. I don't know what something's happening for you. And this isn't the right match right now. Go to your academic advisor. Is there any way? Can you do something different? This is just not. The last thing, in the health professions, you can't have a CD or an F on a transcript. You will not go to graduate school. If you do, you're going to have to retake it, and they're going to see that you retook it, right? So let's use all the deadlines we have going all the way along. Drop ads too fast for freshmen, but we have 2 more deadlines in there that I bring up in class that here's a decision-making point. You can decide, but you have to talk to, for undergrads, they have to talk to their academic advisor. They have.
And how many times a week do you meet with each class?
3.
3.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I get only 50 minutes. Kills me. For my upper level classes, it's different. My upper level classes, I've been able to change the curriculum because I've designed the class myself. There's 17 sections in my, I'm just
Have to float with
copying
the crowd.
it, right? So my medicinal plans class, we meet for 3 hours twice a week.
Okay.
And then I can really do what I want to do for teaching. When I only have 15 minutes, I've got to, every minute counts. And everything's got to be structured. So that discussion could be much richer than the only 10 minutes that I can allow it. But I'm not going to forego it because I have to get through X, Y, or Z. Because if I get through X, Y, or Z, they're not going to know it anyway. They didn't do, if I talk it all through, that's great. Nobody has any clue. It went blah, 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 blah. And I look across the room, like, oh, they're asleep. And then when someone starts to sleep, I'm, oh, no, we're stopping. We're stopping. Can't learn like that, so let's do something active. Okay, draw it now. Draw what we just did. Go ahead, draw it. Do something, because that's not going to work. They look at me like a moron. There we go, I am. I don't know where that, I don't know what version. Oh, I opened Wild One. Oh, that's why. They've already got my courses up for next semester.
Oh, that's good.
This is what I want. There we go. Then Jeff Clemens put together this How to Read a Textbook. Do you see this?
That's
Are
beautiful.
there 120 posts on that? That was not graded. That was none of these. You see a 73, 86, 83, 120? None of this is graded. There is no grade attached to this whatsoever. There's not even a participation grade attached. There's no grade. There we go. These are the skills they've got to do. This is a lab that we had to share, but this is, and then they had to do something with that data, and that was on the exam. But how to read a textbook, he put together this little video because we realized they don't know how to read a textbook when they come in. They honestly do not know how to read a
Well, that's
textbook.
what I've learned from my nephews and some of my previous students. They, in their high schools, many of the high schools have online learning only, and they don't have a textbook.
Right.
And they just follow whatever's given.
Whatever someone's given. So Jeff Clemens, who's a biology professor here, really very innovative. He put together with a group of graphic design students this little video that walks you through the how to look at the learning objectives, how to look at the thing at the back, then how to look at the figures, read the captions, how to take notes. It's short. It's like 4 minutes. And then from that, there's a worksheet that he put together of you do it for a chapter. And all 17 sections of biology did that for chapter 6. Now, I could have done it sooner, but that's okay. Chapter 6 was right after we did a big exam. The other thing is, nobody's going to listen to me on these metacognitive things until they've had feedback. So I have them inserted at I have that stuff during the first week, and then the next insertion point is after the first exam. And what I don't give the exam back. I hand them this instead. I give them an exam wrapper. So here's an exam wrapper for bio, but there's exam wrappers in the back of my book. And Ambrose, if you guys don't have this book, get this book. 251.
That's the other
Teacher's
reading club.
pet.
That's the other reading club.
So this is my
Have you
exam
seen
wrapper that's specific to bio. So what is an exam wrapper? Before they get the exam back, they have to check off what they did to study. Because this word study is nebulous. Reading is not studying. You're not using your critical thinking of your brain. So here's I've generated a list of all the things they could do. And they have to check this off when they get the exam back, before they get the exam back. And then, because they get their score. I put the score on Blackboard. They see the score. So they see they got 54 out of 100. Or they see they got 96 out of 100. They see the score, but they don't see the actual test. And burrow into because burrowing is not going to help you. The bigger picture is what's going to help you. And they sit and they're like, what do you mean you're not giving me the test back? No, I'm not giving you the test back. I'm making you do this first. And then we're going to go around, we're going to talk about what you did and what new strategies there are. So we get on the board then, all the new strategies, and then you're going to pick some and put a date of when you're going to use them, right? And that's an exam wrapper. So that's in this book, right? Ambrose to a general one on 253. So they're not ready to hear it until they've actually either succeeded or failed. And that's whatever your first, it might be a big paper. It might be a big textile project. It doesn't matter. In my case, it's an exam, but it could be anything. And that's when there's a little bit, because what you don't want is them to turn around, I failed because of the professor. That's the first thing that they're going to go to. We're going to push this right back up. No, you failed because you used the wrong learning strategy for this material. Let's look at it. Let's try a different one. Let's see where we're going to go, right? So then I do that. And then the exam, so you can do that, and that's exam wrapper. All right. Then Bloom's taxonomy, I have embedded. So here's Bloom's taxonomy, which we're required to put in our syllabus, right? At the learning objectives, to use these words and steps. But then nobody looks at it after that. So here's how I use Bloom's taxonomy to make it really clear and transparent to them. I've taken Bloom's taxonomy, and on Blackboard I have a little triangle that looks just like this. And we talk about what's the difference between this level and that level, and what are the study strategies in my discipline that get you here, and what are the study strategies there. So we make a long list of the study strategies that move you around throughout the triangle. Then the exam, do I have my grid on here? I have the grid. The exam I tell them this right up front, the exam has 5 types of questions. Every exam I write has 5 kinds of questions. I'm telling you right now what they are. They're factual, they're seductive detail. So in biology, ATP is everything, right? That's seductive detail. Some concept that it permeates everything, and you've got to know like nuances of it, because you're going to apply it a million times over. And every one of your disciplines has something like that. The basic factual, then the next level up is conceptual, being able to say what the bigger concept is and look at it in another context or another perspective, right? Inference, which is the hardest one for students to do. This is related to that, like that is related to that, is inferential. And then application, real world. Down syndrome. What's going on with the genotype? What's happening? Why does somebody have Down syndrome? What happened in the mother? Where did it happen? Did it happen in meiosis 1 or meiosis 2? Where did it happen? Why did we get 3? Right? Trisomy 3. Good? So this I tell them from day one. They have this structure. It's directly linked to this Bloom's taxonomy, and then for every part of my class, I have the learning objectives right there on Blackboard. So here we go. There's the check. It's a checklist. I've essentially created a checklist, and the students that are getting A's take this, put it on paper, and check it off as they're going along, and they're creating study strategies for themselves for each thing as they're going along. So it's
Did you create that
really.
diagram yourself?
Huh?
Did you create the diagram?
No, I got that from somewhere. I got that from somewhere.
May I take a copy?
Yeah, so on Blackboard, those are my notes on there, so go ahead and take a picture of it. On Blackboard. So the New Science of Learning is a thing under assignments, which is the book by Boyle and Sullivan. And here are the discussion boards. There's the little how to read a textbook thing, and there's the Bloom's
Beautiful.
taxonomy right there,
Beautiful.
and there's the exam questions right there.
Do you track your students?
Oh, I know exactly.
What?
Oh, I stopped. Yeah, it's too. There's 95 of them. It's too hard. When I have a smaller class, I could.
Wait, track them with what?
You can crack on Blackboard if they've looked at it. You can see how many people have looked at stuff on Blackboard. When I have a smaller class, I can do that. With the big one, it mutes it.
Well, that was
Sorry,
probably.
I've got a class.
Did that
Thank
give you
so
enough?
very much. No, that's fantastic. Again,
All right.
reinforcement and the same references that we were using that you've taught me before.
Yeah.
So it's just trying to formulate it using the reverse Picasso diagram, get them actually working things through.
So people need to go, right? It's like 1:30. Are we there? So before you go, right now, write down one strategy you're going to do. Before you leave, in your mind, or say out loud, one thing you're going to do. What's one thing you're going to do? Of all the things we just talked about, I just spit out. What's one?
I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do the the hunt in the beginning.
Yeah, that one.
This comes from this paper right here. So I'll make sure through Jeff that you'll get this paper. It's about handwriting notes. But this is what they did to measure it. If you handwrite your notes, you get here. If you type your notes, you're typing verbatim, and you stay up there. But that's where I got this from. That list is from here.
I think that's on your reference list.
Yeah, Mueller and Oppenheimer is on
Yeah,
that.
I saw that.
Yeah.
That was a good
And it's easy to get the paper.
one. Pull.
Yeah, pull that one.
Excellent. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
everybody.
So he's gonna do Bloom's taxonomy, and he's gonna do that because that works for his discipline. What are other people thinking? One thing, just one idea that you're gonna take home and you're gonna try.
That hunt initially.
The skills, the syllabus scavenger one
Yeah,
for your
because
discipline.
I made them read it to me on the first day, but having the questions after reinforces it, because to this day, they're still asking me what the office is. I
Right,
need to meet with you.
yeah, I don't get that at all. I eliminated all of that. Nobody asked me where everybody knows. And that's because otherwise I'll get 95 emails, right?
Right.
I get 95 emails about everything. I don't want 95 emails. I want emails about content, about you need help with something, not with what my email address is, where the office is, or what my office hours are.
During orientation, we actually had them do a physical scavenger hunt where they had to go take pictures as a group in front of different locations on campus. So one of them was
So
our
they
office.
knew where it was.
So not just like we're in search 303, but they were
Oh,
like
I'm
where the
gonna
heck
add
is
that.
search. So it was like take a picture in front of it as your group, and then it was the office for students with disabilities, and
Yeah.
where do you get your ID in Canbar, and where's the health center, and all
Do
these
they
different.
do that as FYS? As part? Oh, they do.
They're
So
doing
ours was graduate students. So they came in as their
Oh.
own graduate, and they're brand new to the campus. And we
Undergrads
sent
do
them-
FYI.
And the
do.
undergrads do it?
Yeah.
So we put them into color-coded teams, and then
Yeah.
it was a competition for who finished first. They
and
had to
got
go
all the
and,
right pictures.
and had to go in their picture.
I
So
love it.
that was our way of like not just where's our classroom in Smith House all the way down on the other side of campus, but like take a picture in front of.
Yeah.
And,
So you're gonna go ahead and try that.
Oh, and a couple of these others as
Yeah.
well to reinforce it.
Yeah, so I'd say on the logistical level, I would do the scavenger hunt, and on the level of cognition, I would do the mindset
Yeah.
questionnaire or the mindset analysis. I think that's important, to show that it's not necessarily your inclination, but rather your process.
Yeah, it's not your ability, it's your process.
Right.
With the group population we're working with, we're working with people that made it to college.
Mhm.
And so therefore you can automatically say you have ability, right? I worked with people that are challenged. That's a whole different population. That's not the population we have.
Mhm.
So you can then say you have the ability.
Mm-hmm.
You have the ability. So let's look at this.
In the McGuire text, she phrased it as, "This course is challenging, and I believe you have the skills
Yeah.
to succeed."
To succeed. And I am a cheerleader on the board right now. There's a thing like this. Here we go. We're doing genetics. That's there every day when they walk in. I love genetics. With a little heart right there. And when they take the exam, they write a little note to themselves before they take the exam. And before they take the exam, everybody in the class, because I have a room like this with the little divider things in there before they take the exam, and they've all written the little positive things to themselves, and I go, everybody ready? All right, now's what
kind
I'm
of cool
gonna
that the computer went out right when you did
Yeah,
that. That was
right.
really,
dramatic. Yeah.
really well timed, I gotta say.
And I have a question for you.
Yeah,
So you require that they bring the textbook to class.
the first day only,
Oh, okay.
then I'm done. And then do that, because I've been teaching here long enough to know, there's a cohort of people that will not buy it, and they just shot themselves in the foot. And my textbooks are 1,550 pages long.
Mhm.
There is no way you're passing my class
Right,
if you don't
right.
have a copy of the book. It's not happening. It's not physically possible. So let's not use that. That's not a good strategy. So how do I reinforce a positive strategy? You love the book the first day.
Mhm.
Everybody lugs it in, and that's my way of making sure everyone has it. And then after that, I'm like, now you don't have to carry it anymore. And everyone's like, wow, good, because I said I'm not going to carry it either. And then it's actually online, but I'm not going to tell them that until they've actually logged it there. Or they show me online that they've got the online version. It doesn't matter. But every single individual, I know all 95 of them have the book. Because if you don't, there's no way,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And on this campus, there's this notion that, and people have succeeded in not having, especially in hallmarks.
Mhm.
I hear my advisees say, yeah, I got to, I never got the book for da-da-da-da-da. So somebody's not using it,
Mhm.
or requiring, or something. It's out there. I don't know. And then for the student, there are people that money is an issue, right? And I work with them. There's a copy of the book on reserve in the library here. There's a lot of things that we do with people that have, but here's the thing. You have a cell phone? What's this cost? What's the cell phone plan cost? You go to Starbucks? What's that cost?
Mhm.
Right? How much is the used book cost? Oh, wait, used book versus the cost of that. All right, where's the priority? So I push that envelope too, and I push it hard. Why are you here? Why are you here? How much does a beer cost? How many of those are we doing? Yeah, let's look at that. Huh? They're not supposed to be drinking. Absolutely not. Right? So we do Starbucks. My upper level students. I teach public health. Remember, I teach public health. We did a whole unit on alcohol. I know what they're doing. Anyway.